Weep holes. There are things in life that just make you cry. And weeping is necessary because it's nature's way of releasing all that pent-up stress that's been built up. Now, stress is just part of living a life. We cannot deny stress. It starts off with a bang and then slowly infiltrates into the depths and builds up. And you got to have some sort of release mechanism to let it back out again. And just like if I were to tell you that there's going to be a pink elephant in your bed tonight, you're never going to be able to get rid of the thought of that pink elephant until you fall asleep tonight. That's how things infiltrate and you just can't get rid of them. And in house construction, water will put stress on all its components. And try as you may, you just cannot prevent the water from infiltrating the system. And when it does get in, you need means to let it back out again. And that's why when you look along the walls, you have weep holes in the walls. And the reason is water soaks in through the walls and drips down to the fleshing, and you need to drain it back out again via the weep holes. And if you block the weep holes, then you've got problems. Now, what about roofs? Do they need weep holes? Now, the unfortunate truth is that no matter how good your sealants are, and no matter how good your roof pointing is, it's not going to be 100%. At a certain location or a certain point in time, water will infiltrate. And when it does get in, you have to provide the means to let it out. That's why you need weep holes. So weep holes are essential on roofs. But how essential? Now, our technical training system makes me weep because it teaches the learners to follow regulations. It doesn't bother to take the students back to first principles thinking. And first principles thinking is why? Why are we doing this? So when a student understands the why, then regulations make sense. And it's more likely to be followed, because if something's sensible, you would do it. If it doesn't make any sense, even though it's a regulation, there will be times when you wouldn't bother. And when it comes to weep holes on tile roofs, a lot of roofers take it as an option, even though the code says thou shalt put weep holes under ridge capping on tile roofs. And the confusing thing is that in reality, weep holes really are an option. You confused? Well, we are about to show you why you can be confused. All right, what's the answer? Which one needs weep holes?
The concrete tile.
A concrete tile needs weep holes.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure, Mason?
I'm sure.
I'm going to tell you guys that you're all wrong.
Every single one of us?
Hey?
All of us?
Yes.
Even him?
Even Mason's wrong.
Hey!
You don't need it on there, but you...
Okay,
But
now...
I'm right, yeah?
No, hang on.
But I'm right, yeah?
Hang on. But I'm always saying that you guys work on rules, but you never know why the rules are made. So you always have to go back to first principles, right?
Exactly.
Why the hell do you want to put weep holes in, right?
So the water can get out.
So what you have to do is... Okay. Tell me, where's the water coming out?
Water course.
Does it need weep holes?
No.
Oh, what about the terracotta?
Right.
So if I go this one here...
Was that weep?
It overflows into the water course.
Oh, okay.
You see, so full tile, no weep hole. Okay. People can argue as much as they like, because
But
you
if it's
can
a
say
full tile, don't need it.
you can say you've seen it happen. Right? Full tiles, you don't need weep holes. And when you understand fully why weep holes are needed and in what situations, you'll be able to apply that knowledge to tell you that a particular situation will demand weep holes, and other situations weep holes aren't really required. It doesn't matter what the regulation says. It can be a stupid regulation because you understand how the whole thing works. So now we know that usually you'll need whip holes, but not all the time. You've got to know why. Now, the next question is how? Because there are a lot of situations where a tile has gone in and they've bedded the ridge and they haven't put in whip holes. And the question's asked, where are the whip holes? And the next question is, well, I forgot, can I put whip holes in afterwards? Well, I'm sorry I have to disappoint you, because the answer to that is maybe. Why maybe? Because it really depends on a lot of things. And it all boils down to first principle thinking. We have to understand the bedding, and we have to understand the whip holes, what angle they're at, and if we were to drill a whip hole, how we would do it effectively. Otherwise, really bad things will happen. And these are the examples of some roofers trying to put a whip hole in, but instead put a hole through the top of the tile and actually make things a lot worse. There's a lesson to everything, isn't there? So first lesson, like even our perfectly constructed bodies cannot help but let toxins in, and it has naturally built orifices to let it back out again. We have to do the same thing with the things that we build. So ridge capping, a roof, they all will need a mechanism to release water, because water will infiltrate the element, and you have to design in a means to release that water, because otherwise it'll build up and then you'll have something unnatural like a leak happen. So build in release mechanisms in everything that we do. Well, they say that shit happens. We can't stop that, but what we can do is design in systems that let it back out again, and then you can start afresh. Now, the second lesson we learned is you shouldn't just do something because the regulations tell you to do it, or someone, your superior, tells you it's got to be done. You've got to take the time to ask the question why it's got to be done, and understand from first principles the basics. And then once you've got that, then you ask the question how. How can this be performed effectively? And this is what real learning is all about. And next up, we got another story, and this is going to be about false securities.